Howdy folks, for years, blues guitarists have been told that they can play minor pentatonic across everything. But if you play major pentatonic, you have to follow the chords. Well, I'm going to say that that is not necessarily true. So let's just explain what I'm talking about there. So if we got a blues in A major blues, A7, D7 and E7, a lot of guys would just play A minor pentatonic across the whole of that progression. And that's fine. That works really well. That is a large part of the sound of the blues. But if you're doing major pentatonics, most people will tell you across the A7 you play A major pentatonic, across the D7 you play D major pentatonic, and across the E7 you play E major pentatonic. Now that works great as well, but it's quite hard because you have to follow those chords. So I'm going to show you how you can use one major pentatonic position to solo across an entire major blues backing track, right? So let's say we're in A, we're going to do A7, D7, E7, right? You can see that on the screen now. So most people, like I say, would use position 1 of A minor to solo across that, fine. But if we want to do major, we need to use A major. Well, there's a little trick. Instead of using this shape here, we're going to use it here. Right, and we find it by putting our little finger on the root note of the key that we want to solo in. So in this case, it's A. My index finger falls here on the 2nd fret, which is F sharp. So what I'm saying is F sharp minor is the same notes as A major. And this works all over the fretboard. Let's say I put my little finger on the G here. My index finger falls on the E. Therefore, G major is the same as E minor, right? If I go here, I find that D major is the same as B minor. It's a good little hack that guitarists employ quite a lot. We're thinking F sharp minor, but really it's A major, but in our heads we kind of think F sharp minor. We've got to be a bit careful about how we play these lines. We've got to be a bit aware of the notes that we're playing. Because if we just play on minor pentatonic licks, it won't sound that good. So the main thing we've got to be aware of is where root notes are. And I've got another root note. There. So I'm kind of thinking of those 3 root notes, and I'm kind of gravitating to those a lot. I'm finishing my lines with that. So I think I started something like, alright, so I'm just doing a bend. So you could just make it simpler. And I'm ending up on that A note. I'm just kind of noodling across those first 4 bars, very aware of where the root notes are. Yeah. Now when the D chord comes along, this is a bit of a problem. And this is why the A major pentatonic is a little bit awkward over that D. Playing the major pentatonic of the 1 over the 4 chord is a little bit tricky. Why? And the problem is with the D chord, it's this note here in the A major pentatonic scale is going to clash badly with the D chord. Because in the D chord, we've got a D note. And this is a C sharp note. And if we play the C sharp note over the D chord, and especially a D7 chord, it's going to clash really badly because you've got this root note here, you've got this, which is a semitone below it, and we've got the flat 7 note in the chord. So it will sound pretty bad. Now you get around this by not playing that note. So if I'm playing that line, right, over the D chord, it's going to sound fine. But if I do this, it sounds fine on its own, but over the D7 chord, it won't sound fine. So what I'm saying is, you just need to be a bit careful with that note. You don't have to totally avoid it. If I played, that would be fine, because I've just gone through it very quickly and come away from it. But it does clash. It does clash a bit. And that's why, strictly speaking, you can't use A major pentatonic over D7 chord. But if you're a bit careful with it, you can. The rest of the notes are fine. You've got the 2, the 3, the 5 and the 6. Well, they're part of D major pentatonic anyway. Basically, over the D, you're kind of sticking around with those 4 notes. but being really careful with that note and not landing phrases on it. And then it will work, it will sound fine, right? Now over the E chord, the A major pentatonic fits fine, right? That's an E note. So if I'm playing, right, that E note, obviously, it's the root of the chord. That's a 2, that's the 4, that's the 5, and that's the 6. So it's not, the 4's a little bit offensive, but it's not too bad. So again, most of those notes will fit over the E chord. And generally, it's quite a common thing to do, to play lines that fit over the 1 chord over the 5 chord. They tend to fit well anyway. So all I'm doing is I'm playing this scale across the whole of the 12-bar blues. But over the 4 chord, I'm just being careful with that note. That's it. It's as simple as that. So what you can do now across the 12-bar blues is you could play position 1 here, just doing minor licks, and then just shift here, and just shift between those two, yeah? And that's a really cool thing to do. If you hop over to Patreon, you'll see me doing a bit more of that on Patreon. I'll expand on that a bit and show you a solo where I'm moving between these 2 positions. So if you know position 1, all you've got to do is move it down 3 frets and it becomes major, yeah? So you haven't got to learn any more positions. Position 1, move it down 3 frets, becomes major, play that over the entire progression. Just be careful with that one note. Lots of fun. So don't forget to like and subscribe as always, super important. Hit that bell notification. Check out the Patreon below, loads of great stuff on there. Catch you next time.